Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the last show in March. And have I got a doozy for you? My friends, this gentleman has been on my radar, and I love watching what this man does on a daily basis with his mashups and everything else. And he's a family man and everything else. And he's got a wonderful story that we're going to share this evening. My friends from Wired Up Entertainment, the one and only Joe Zahn. Joe, how are you, baby?
Hey, Big Daddy, what's up? Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it, man. How are you?
A pleasure. I'm great. Listen, I'm on the line with one of my idols of all time. I love watching what you do. You know what I think it is? I think it's just the smile and how much fun you have when you're doing your mashups and everything else, and how you feel about the business that we're in.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it. But, I think that if there's a North Star in passion, it's probably you for me, and going to the DJ shows in Atlantic City, for the last decade, and being that quiet guy in the corner that was afraid to speak up at Jake's seminars, and watching you just command everybody with like your passion and your spirit, like it really, resonated with me. So it's pretty awesome that it, has amounted to this where I can share, a tidbit of information with everybody else, and, to be on here with you. So I'm just honored.
Honored. Now, listen, I just want to thank all my sponsors that you saw in the beginning of the show. So let's get to the meat.
Okay.
Joe, how did you get started in the business?
God, you know what? It's weird, but drugs. So,
okay.
Yeah. So I had a friend who was a couple years older than me, who was adopted, and he lived across the street from me. And every couple of days I would go over, and he had this awesome purple setup of Newmark belt drive turntables, like this mixer behind me. Hang on. So this mixer behind me, this was my first mixer, and it had like the same purple. Yeah. So belt drive turntables, right? And I thought it was fascinating, like the way that you could scratch on them and everything. And so I would go over, and my friend Cody got into drugs pretty heavily, and his parents ended up shipping off to a rehabilitation center. But before doing so, gave me his turntables and said, just take care of these for me. And I did. I bought them off of him, and like I really gave it my all. And I'm not really sure what came first, the chicken or the egg, like as far as like my personality and what I needed to turn into in order to be a DJ and like be a people person, or if I was just always that person and DJing was the perfect fit for me. But I'm just so thankful that that moment happened, because it led me to this conversation and to so many other wonderful things in this industry. So,
and just to go to we'll talk about your mobile entertainment business in a minute. How many followers do you have? We were talking about this before on TikTok and everything. How many do we have total?
So it's around like 1.2 on TikTok, close to 500,000 on Instagram, and close to 400,000 on Facebook, somewhere in there.
Oh my God, 2 million people. Oh my God,
journey, man. Yeah, I mean, like, and I don't take it lightly. Like, I really, really appreciate like being able to look at the comments. I mean, there's obviously the negative stuff that you gotta have to like take.
Of course.
But
please.
People that are like, hey, like I'm really going through some stuff, and your mashups really brighten up my day. You and your like weird giddy demeanor. Like I just get into it, you know what I mean? And people love it. And you know what? I'm thankful. There are people that hate it and they can scroll past it, but for the people that that really appreciate it, that's why I do it. It's really awesome.
Joe, there's haters everywhere, and you know what? We scroll past them. The last one I saw was the first dance one that you did.
Oh,
Boys to Men.
Yeah.
With the backup of, what was the backup song?
1,000 Years.
Oh, bang! I'm crying my eyes out. I'm going, how am I supposed to include this when I can't even press play? Like it, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, the funny thing is like, you know how like if you mess around and you put together a really good mix, like you get the chills and you get like inspired by it. I got really inspired by that one, and I actually teared up when I was making that. I was just like, what is going on? Why is water falling out of my face right now? But it was really cool. It was cool.
Awesome. So you also have you are a mobile entertainer also,
Yes,
correct?
yes.
You have a mobile, tell me about that.
Yeah, so Mr. Wired Up is only a thing because of the pandemic. But before that, I was just Joe Zahn, owner of Wired Up Entertainment. And we specialize in weddings and corporate events. And,
Mhm.
we've got 6 teams of extremely talented individuals. And that was, I mean, and it still is like my forte, like my main focus, right? And then the pandemic hit and I was forced to pivot as so many of us were. And ended up landing on doing mashups and just trying to be relevant during such a dark time. So, I mean, I'm
And
happy to
you are
share that
where?
story.
You are where?
In what do you mean, like Wilmington, Delaware?
Oh, you're in Wilmington. Okay, you're in
Yeah.
Delaware. Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. Did that bridge in Baltimore, does that hurt your travel at all?
No, but I saw footage of it today, and
Oh,
it was shocking, man. It was
so
really,
you
really.
guys do weddings? Do you do AV also, or is it
We
just
we do very small AV rental equipment. Like we don't have anything for big rigs or anything like that. But
got it,
like
got it?
DJ comes to town and needs a, anything, or we need to provide front of house with side fill, we can definitely do that type of stuff, but we're no Ben Stowe.
And Ben's following us. Um, what drives you? What is your passion that brought you to where you are now with the
Oh,
mobile entertainment and everything else? What is your passion for this?
I, I think it's like everybody. I mean, there's just that feeling that you get when people are dancing to something that you're creating for them, and you see the joy on their face, and like it's we talk about drugs, like that's a drug, you know what I mean, like
Mhm,
getting
mhm.
that feeling from everybody and wanting to provide. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm a people person, you know what I mean, like I think that most of us are inside of this industry. And so, we have big hearts, and so anytime we can share our heart with the world, it gets bigger. And, we want to continue to kind of, you know, um, reproduce that feeling, right?
And all the guys that you have working for you, they've worked with you for a number of years, correct?
Yeah, many of which since the inception of Wired Up Entertainment.
And there was a story that, and we chatted about this. Tell them about what happened with all your social media and everything else. Did you get hacked completely?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So, um, I was terrified with what I was doing because I was making money off of these mashups, right?
Mhm.
And I knew that there was this gray area where, like, obviously you can't be on Spotify and you can't be on, a lot of these streaming platforms, right? Because they're obviously regulated to the nth degree. But I found a loophole when it came to free use or fair use. I think it's fair use.
Fair use. Yeah.
Fair use. So I had a legal team kind of dive into it. I am, no lawyer, so I had to figure it out, but I really wanted to figure out where I stood. So we found this loophole and I was like, okay, like I feel okay with this, but still I'm a little uneasy and I was kind of like paranoid. And then one day, I get a message from Meta on like in my DMs saying that, they've received numerous complaints about copyright infringement. And I was like, geez, like here we go. You know what I mean? And
And
so,
it's going to start.
hey, fill this information out and submit your request. And as soon as I filled it out, I was like, they just have all my information and I'm effed right now. And I was like, great. So it's in like 5 minutes, like gone, like everything I was locked out. I couldn't do anything. And it cost
Oh,
me a significant, I mean, monetary value. It cost me a significant amount of money, but so much more because like now, a year and a half later, I'm I'm beside myself because I have to grow my Google listing again. Like I looked on like a couple of weeks ago, I started taking mentor pods. Matt Radicelli, shout out
yes.
to, oh my God, this guy's a genius. Like
Yep.
if you're a DJ and you need help with the business side of things, like, oh, this guy he's
Matt and I've
incredible.
been friends. Matt and I've been friends for about 20 years. He's a good man.
So
Smart man. Smart man.
so this course really kind of um takes full control and allows you to see like what things are happening inside of your business and like forces you to go face to face with things that you really don't want to look at, like your
Right.
finances, right? And one of them is like determining your SEO. And so I tried to sign into Google one day, like a couple of weeks ago, and it said that my Google account no longer existed. And I was like, wait a second. And so I tried again. And then I had to go through all the prompts to try to restore my password. And it did restore my password, but it brought it to a completely separate username and password. Anyway, long story short, everything gone, all my messages from my friends to like all the content, like my Google Drive, everything, like everything gone, right? So I was in Montana the other week and I was like, you know what? Just for giggles, let me go ahead and type in DJ Delaware just to see where I rank. And like I had, my thumb got tired before I saw our name. And now, like determining the problem, finding out that this is actually what was going on. I reached out to our community. I reached out to people who saw Wired Up Entertainment perform. I was like, look, like this is the boat that I'm in right now. If you have a heart and you've seen us perform, like please, leave us a Google review so we can get our numbers back up and, bring some pictures along with that so we can show people how, amazing your reception was. And so after I did that, I started to bounce back a little bit in like, the search results, which was good. But yeah, I mean, like you're talking one mistake on my end, and then I'm dealing with the
Oh,
aftermath. And it is like the most sloppy bucket of milk I'm trying to clean up you've ever seen in your life. You know what I mean?
now your mashups, you're back up to, you're all good with that.
Yeah, yeah. Now that's fine. I mean, everything's good to go. But I mean, the whole universal thing is killing us too. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh,
so there's a big thing right now where if you have muted tracks, apparently the algorithm doesn't like that. You know what I mean? Like, well, we have to bow down to the almighty algorithm on TikTok and on Instagram so we get the views, right? But if you have muted videos, which now so many of us do because Universal's like, all right, we're stopping anybody that has a Universal like vocal, instrumental, anything like that, we're muting it. No ifs, ands, or buts. And
oh,
so I've been doing this for a while. So I've had, 400 videos that I have to thumb through to remove so that way TikTok and Instagram realize like, okay, this is an account that's okay to pump back to the masses now because we deem it appropriate, right? And so, it's not easy being in social media. I'll say that. I mean, it's like, we've got enough to worry about in terms of trying to go viral and content that is ringing true to our followers' ears and our eyes, right? But like, on top of that, then you got this to deal with. It's just like, come on,
how's
right?
business for you with Wired Up Entertainment?
Business is getting better, so I will say this. I will say that admittingly, it can't be everywhere, and
Mm-hmm.
when things started happening with me for Wired Up Entertainment, I, tried to play zone defense and cover Mr. Wired Up and Wired Up Entertainment, and I couldn't, you know what I mean? And so business started to slip a little bit on that side of things because I started to, follow my passion as Mr. Wired Up, right?
Mm-hmm.
But after realizing that, like, the multi-op, because I mean, let's be fair, all right? I mean, I don't want to talk negatively about myself, but let's just call it what it is. Like, how many of us still listen to the same music that we did 3 years ago? You know, mashups are a fad. Like, you know what I mean? It's a passing fad. So, like, the relevancy of me as Mr. Wired Up and the content that I'm doing is going to draw to a close, right?
Mm-hmm.
Inevitably, right? However, a multi-op, something where I can constantly, hire younger talent and just use my knowledge and experience to create leads and business. That's a business model that I can get into till my late 70s and 80s, you know what I mean? If need be.
Hello, hello.
So, I mean, like I'm not throwing in the towel by any means with Mr. Wired Up, but I'm saying like, it's a balancing act for sure. But after realizing that I've started to put a lot more focus into my present business and my multi-op and growing that to, a little bit more sound.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, what three lessons or takeaways can you give to my folks
Hmm.
that you can share with these folks that they can use in their business.
So, quote that I heard today by Julius Caesar said, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. So, if your back's up against the wall and you need something to work, burn the boats. Burn the boats. You know what I mean? Don't let yourself retreat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Go all in. You know? The only reason why I am no better DJ than anybody watching this at all, far less than most, right? The only determining factor that I have, or the distinguishing characteristic that I have over top of many people who try social media, is that my back was up against the wall. I did not have a plan B. I closed on a 5,000 square foot office space for 5 years, 3 days before the lockdown. And we went from 200 events down to nothing in the blink of an eye. And my wife doesn't work and I have 2 kids at home. So like when I tell you I had to be all in with social media, I was all in. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it had to work. So failure wasn't an option. That's one. Number two, I would say like, if it ever stops becoming fun, quit. If it ever stops becoming fun, quit, or find a different avenue. You know what I mean? Because, this industry is supposed to be fun. And I forgot that, as a performer. And so I had to kind of take a break and step back for a second and stop performing a little bit to try to find the love again. Right. Because, when you're going as hard and you're waking up and doing it every single day, it gets exhausting. So maybe, you know what? I take that back. Don't quit, but, allow yourself to take a break every once in a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like that. Well, you know what? I've heard the story. I've watched what you've done. And the first time we met was at the thing in Allentown, PA.
Yeah.
And that was before you, and that was a few years before you started doing the mashups and everything else. And I watch everybody, and I watching you last year at DJX do your thing for the half hour, 40 minutes, whatever they had you do. I couldn't take my eyes off of you because the smile on your face said all of it. And that's one of the things that resonates with me when you speak is a smile on your face. And even through everything you've been through, by get pretty much everything in your social media and all that stuff taken away, you still manage to smile. That's what it's all about, my friends. And that's one of the key things. And Joe said it best. If you're feeling it, if your back's up against the wall, burn the boots, like you said. That's a biggie. Go for the gusto. You're never defeated until you defeat yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're never defeated until you defeat yourself. Because no matter what, again, watching this man and watching, the team he has and everything else, and the smiles he's brought, Wilmington, Delaware, and everything else, that's key, is never, ever, ever give up. And what you did, you're closing on the 5,000 square foot building and everything. It's like, what do I do now? And you did, yeah. What do I do now? I went from here to here in a matter of 35 minutes.
Oh my God. What did you do during the pandemic?
What I did during the pandemic was I did a lot of Zoom calls.
Yeah.
I did Zoom calls. I was, talking to like the Las Vegas wedding people, all DJ companies, everything else, just doing what I do. Just making sure that everybody knows that they're loved, make sure they're all okay, make sure they're happy. And of course, over 3,000 birthday calls, even during that year. Mm-hmm. But what you have to remember, and you do, and I love the story. And, folks, the man's married, got 2 beautiful kids, and he's running a big operation, and he got all that stuff thrown at him within 2 days. You lost all your social media, you lost, your stuff for your mashups and Mr. Wired Up and everything else. Look where he is now. He's got the smile on his face and he's ready to rock again. And that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. So, my friend, how can they get a hold of you?
Just call me, email me, text me, whatever you want to do. I mean, I'm very easy to get a hold of. But my social media handle is Mr.
Yes.
Wired Up. And my name is Joe Zahn. So, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok, on Facebook. You can message me. I'm pretty active on DJ idea sharing and a lot of the forums that we've created for ourselves. So, I'm never shy with information. So, please, I'm an open book. I don't gatekeep anything. So whatever you want to know about me or mashups or social media, I'm happy to help.
Well, there you have it, my friends. Mr. Wired Up. Joe, an absolute honor. I thank you again for sharing your stories, all good, all bad. And my friends, just remember, burn the boots. Burn the boots. That's the one that will stick with me for a while. Burn the boots. If your back is up against the wall, burn the boots and walk through it. That's all you can do. But, my friends, just remember, Joe Zahn is always here. Big Daddy's always here. And we will see you next week. Next week, I have Mr. Mike Schaefer, 732 Entertainment. He used to be up in Jersey. Now he's down in South Florida doing the right thing. But Joe, again, thank you. All my sponsors, thank you. John Young, as always, thank you. And I've got some news John and I will share within the next couple of weeks about a couple of big things coming up. But Joe, thank you so much again, my friend.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Big Dad.
you.
My pleasure. Thank you
You're
so
the
much.
best.
Thank
John,
you, John.
thank you, Beg. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.
All righty.